Hi and welcome to Literary Hype. I am Stephanie, your Literary Hype Woman, and today's author conversation is also an illustrator. And this turned out to be really great timing of when I got to talk to this person. I already had this interview scheduled at San Diego Comic-Con, and it happened to be the morning after the Eisner Awards, and it just so happened that Luen Yang won 3 Eisner Awards for this book, Lunar New Year Love Story. This book is such an adorable graphic novel. It's a coming-of-age story of a girl who hates Valentine's Day and getting involved in a dragon dance team with a boy. And it's so cute, it's so precious, and the story behind it is also really great, so stay tuned for that. This conversation also happened just a couple days after it was announced that he was taking over as the writer of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So we had a lot to talk about. So without any further ado, here's my conversation with Luen Yang. Welcome to Literary Hype. It's so exciting to have you on.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's great to be here.
And this is really good timing because you just won a whole bunch of awards.
Our book, I did a book with Luen Pham, award-winning illustrator Luen Pham. It's called Lunar New Year Love Story. It came out last year, and last night we won 3 Eisners for it.
Which is an excellent book, which is one I wanted to talk about anyway.
Oh, awesome. Great. Thank you.
So for anybody who hasn't seen Lunar New Year Love Story, what is this book about?
It's a rom-com. It's my first rom-com. Luen and I have been friends for a very long time, for over 20 years, and we've always wanted to work on something together, and this just felt like the exact right project. So it's about these 2 teenagers growing up in Oakland, California. They join a lion dancing team, and then they fall in love within the context of this team. It really is about these 2 holidays. It's about Valentine's Day and Lunar New Year, which are on 2 separate calendars, but almost always right next to each other.
It's such a beautiful coming-of-age story. So what was the inspiration behind this project?
It really began with my wife. So my wife and I, we've been married for 25 years now. When we were dating, she really hated Valentine's Day. She thought Valentine's Day was a scam that corporations had made up to sell us candy and cards and that sort of thing. But I liked Valentine's Day because I liked her. So I always wanted to take her out, and she would never do it. So finally I came up with a workaround. Every time February rolled around, I would take her out for Lunar New Year instead. I'd tell her it was Lunar New Year dinner. I'd buy her Lunar New Year presents, I'd give her Lunar New Year candy, and it totally worked. And that's how we got married. So ever since then, Lunar New Year has had like this romantic sheen to it for me, and I've always wanted to do a story about that.
That's so cute, because our main character, Valentina, does hate Valentine's Day,
Yes.
and her name is Valentina because of Valentine's Day.
That's right.
So when did you get the idea to name her after the holiday?
Yeah, that came fairly early. I actually have a friend named Valentino, and I talked to him about his name, and it just always seemed like I always thought it was a fun name with a lot of history behind it. So I kind of stole it and used it for our main character.
When you are doing, because you do a lot of different projects, I think Goodreads said you have like 374 titles to your name. Which
Is that true? I don't think that's true.
I think it counts every individual comic.
Maybe if they count every individual comic.
There's like a lot of Avatar, Last Airbender individuals, but it still has 354 credits to your name. And some you do more as a writer, and some you do more as an illustrator. So how do you approach those projects differently?
Well, I do have some books where I do both the writing and the illustration. American Born Chinese is an example of that. I think for those books, it's usually a story that I feel like is very personal, and I feel like I need control over not just the words, but also the illustrations. For other projects like Lunar New Year, I don't think I have the chops to draw it. The way I picture it in my head fit much better with the way Luen Pham drew it, and even beyond that, I think I really needed her voice. I needed her help in the writing. I remember giving her an early draft, and she's like, "This is great, except all your teenage girl characters do not talk like teenage girls." So she totally gave me all these notes that help push that direction. So when I'm collaborating, it's much more like the final book is kind of an expression of 2 voices, or the blending of 2 voices, and then when I'm working on my own, it's just my voice.
Also big news for you is that you're taking over Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
They just announced that this past week. It was kind of nuts. I mean, IDW, the folks at IDW, who have the license for Ninja Turtles from Nickelodeon, they have been talking with me since the beginning of the year. And when they offered it, I was astounded. I've been a Turtles fan since I was a kid. I think most kids who grew up in the 80s and 90s are Turtles fans, right?
In some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're like one of those properties that just keeps coming back in new iterations, and every generation knows who they are. Beyond that, though, I got my start in comics with the Xeric Foundation grant, which was a grant that was given to self-publishing cartoonists, and that was established by Peter Laird, one of the creators of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, using Turtles money. So I actually started my career with like a gift of Turtles money from one of the creators of the Turtles. So it really feels full circle.
That's such a beautiful full circle moment. What can people expect from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles under your story arcs?
Well, I'm following a great writer. I'm following Jason Aaron, who did a tremendous arc, you know. And one of the things he did in his arc, if you haven't read it, you should read it. You should read Jason Aaron's Turtles books. He starts off the Turtles separate. Like the brothers are kind of broken up, and he kind of has the band get back together, right? So in my arc, they are starting together, and we see them really enjoying their brotherhood. We kind of see them how we know them. We know them as a team of 4, right? But because of what Jason did, I think that togetherness feels more earned, and I'm hoping to lean into that we really show them as a family and explore like family issues through them.
And I saw something online that you have a really cool title, and I'm not going to get it all right, so I have to look at it. The Library of Congress National Ambassador for Young People's Literature, which sounds so fancy.
Yeah, it's the fanciest job title I've ever had. Yeah, that's right.
So what do you do for that job title?
So I was the National Ambassador for Young People's Literature from 2016 to 2017. And really, that's just about promoting reading and the importance of books with young people all across America. So we did these little podcasts, and I got to visit different communities to give lectures about books. We did workshops with young people. It's a great program. The current ambassador is a guy named Mac Barnett, who's a pretty successful picture book author. And he also actually, wildly enough, happens to be like an old student at the school where I used to teach. So I never had him directly in class, but I had some of his friends, and he would come into my computer lab after school. So it's kind of crazy that we have that connection.
Yeah, so talk a little bit about the importance of getting kids into reading, especially in this era of so many books getting banned and challenged and stuff like that.
Yeah. What I think is we're in a society that's made up of fast information. You know, like putting up a tweet or even putting up an article on the internet, you can do it really quickly, and you can do it almost thoughtlessly. But books, I know from being an author for over 20 years that books are it takes a really long time to make a book. There are lots of people involved. There are lots of people who are checking your facts. So it's slow information. And I personally think that slow information is high quality information. And our students, our kids really need access to high quality information.
Lunar New Year Love Story was under First Second,
yes,
and they're now branching out to adult books with 23rd Street Books.
Yes.
Any odds that you might be working on any adult graphic novels in the future?
Currently working on an adult graphic novel series, actually. It's a series of 3 books. It's an action comedy. I'm working with a very talented artist by the name of Jacob Perez. He's young. He comes out of animation. He's extremely good. And I have to say I'm very nervous about it because this is the bloodiest book I've ever worked on.
Ooh.
And it also has the most swear words. I don't think I have a single F-bomb in anything I've published up until this point, and I have like 1 billion in the first volume.
What's that like for you to kind of spread your wings and dally off into different areas of your creativity?
Yeah, in some ways it feels good. In some ways it feels like I get to, I get a little more elbow room, but I'm also like crazy nervous about it. Like first, my mother-in-law is not going to like this book. I know for a fact she's not going to like this book, right? And beyond that, my hope is that the violence and the swearing and all the quote-unquote adult stuff will be meaningful, that it'll be there to serve the story. But because it's like my first time dealing with some of this kind of stuff, I'm a little worried about it.
Well, I think the vibe here proves that works. I mean, we got Toxic Avengers and Holly.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So R-rated comics are doing pretty well right now.
Yeah, that might be true.
With all of the awards that you've gotten, how do you stay motivated to keep upping your creativity?
I am really inspired by my my peers. I'm lucky enough that I came up with a group of fabulously talented cartoonists like Raina Telgemeier and Kazuki Buishi, Derek Kirk Kim, Tin Pham, who actually just visited us earlier, Lark Pien. We were all in our 20s. We kind of got to know each other. And we used to, when we were younger, we used to get together once a week at somebody's house to kind of look at each other's work. And even now, I think when I read their stuff, I see them constantly pushing the art form of comics, and it really inspires me to do the same.
And since you've been a teacher, one thing that I've seen a lot as a bookseller is people holding on to this idea that graphic novels and comics don't count as reading.
Yeah.
But yet, with kids nowadays, that has become so huge for getting them interested in reading.
Yeah,
so what would
yeah.
you say to someone who thinks that these books don't count as reading?
Yeah, I mean, we call them comic books, right? They're definitely books. Nowadays, like the things that are trying to take our attention away from us are often not in pages, they're on screens. So if you have a kid engaging with a page, I think that's a win. I do have to say though, with my own kids, what I tell them, I have 4 kids and they all gravitate towards different kinds of reading material. And that's changed as they've gotten older. So my youngest does gravitate towards graphic novels. That's her favorite kind of reading, which I think is great. But I also think that in the same way our diet of food should be diverse because it makes us healthy, I think our diet of reading should be diverse as well. So I personally do encourage, even though I love comics and I work in comics, I do encourage her to read books without pictures because I want her to experience different stories in different formats. There are just some stories that are told best in graphic novel format and some stories that are told best in prose, and I want her to be able to experience both of those.
Anything else we should know about upcoming projects from you?
Well, I'm in the middle of a series called Books of Clash, which is based on a really popular mobile game called Clash of Clans. We have 5 volumes out now, and we have 8 total planned. The goal of that series is to take gamers and make them into readers.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, thank you.
Especially, there's a lot of trends on TikTok of like gamer husband, reader wife, like perfect match.
Yes,
then you can both go into your separate corners and be quiet.
Yeah, that's the hope.
Awesome. Well, since this is Literary Hype, last question we always ask is, what books are you hyped about?
Oh, I mean, this is gonna sound a little bit like nepotism, but one of my good friends, Tin Pham, he recently put out a book called Family Style, which won an Eisner last year. It's a tremendous book. It's about his family's experience immigrating from Vietnam to America. And he comes across as a goofball in real life, but that particular book just hits all sorts of deep emotional notes. So I would really encourage you to check that out.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking time to talk to Literary Hype.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. This is great.
Thanks again to Gene for taking time out of his very busy San Diego Comic-Con schedule to talk with me about Lunar New Year Love Story, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, introduce me to some of his friends who saw him and popped in to say hi. It was such a great time chatting with him about all things books and creativity. If you'd like to check out Lunar New Year Love Story for yourself or some of Gene's other books, check out the links in the description. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Literary Hype YouTube channel if you've not done so already, and click that little bell so you get notifications whenever I post a new video. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.